Many critics of Raila Odinga are saying, why didn't he just wait before that famous handshake? Why did he not give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Yeah? You'd have easily told Uhuru, fine, we have discussed. We have agreed on this, but give me time to think and to digest. What Raila Odinga critics are saying, giving the whole issue that much time would have given Raila Odinga a much better deal. And it would have given Raila maybe even more than a deal. They are saying there's a possibility that a delay in that handshake would have given Raila Odinga State House. Now that last point I laughed because I think before somebody makes a statement, it's very useful to think things through. Yeah, people are not appointed to State House. There's a process. Okay. Anyway, let's analyze what these critics are saying and see if there's any truth in it. Now the truth is, this Cambridge Analytica maneno or scandal, yeah, is very good news for NASA. It's very good news for ODM and Raila Odinga. And on the other side, it is extremely bad news for the Jubilee government, for Uhuru Kenyatta. Those are the undisputed facts. It is also true that this thing has taken everybody by surprise. And it is especially true that nobody can predict the future. Absolutely nobody can predict the future. You can speculate and make theories, yeah, but there's no way you can predict the future with certainty. It's not possible. And so in my view, had Raila Odinga known what was going to break, yeah, barely 10 days after the handshake, it is possible that he would have hesitated to make that famous handshake, or is it infamous? However, in my view, I do not think Raila Odinga has any regrets over that particular decision. And I'll tell you why. Okay? Now, in any negotiations, there's always give and take. You will not get 100% of what you're looking for from any negotiation. For instance, if you want a raise of 50k on your salary, 50,000 shillings, you will not go to your boss and say, I want 50,000 more on my salary. Yeah? If you're smart, you will go and say you want 100,000 more on your salary. And then the negotiations will start. In that particular scenario, you're much more likely to reach a target figure of 50,000 than if you just started on the 50,000. Now, the very interesting thing about the Raila-Uhuru talks and the negotiations is that going into the negotiations, Raila Odinga started with 100,000. Yeah, and this is going to surprise most of you, but it's a fact. He started with 100,000, and do you know how much he ended up with? 100,000. Now back to my example. Of course, if the boss grants you your 50,000 or whatever, yeah, he's going to ask you, okay, fine, since we're giving you more money, we want this and this in return. Yeah, this was not your responsibility, but I believe you have to take it up. Yeah, that's part of negotiations. Okay, and the same thing happened with the Raila Odinga negotiations. After he got everything that he wanted, obviously the president asked him, what am I going to get in return? Okay, and that's why the People's Assembly, very aggressive People's Assembly offensive, was halted. And that is why resist was halted, although that's a bad example because there was nothing more to resist if the demands have been met. But I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm saying. Okay? And so if Raila Odinga got everything, does it make any sense to say that he should have held on, he should have delayed? In my personal opinion, I don't think so. Now, according to insiders, yeah, the reason why Raila Odinga made the deal, yeah, and was very eager to make the deal, was that according to him, the country was headed for bloodshed. Okay? And in a situation of bloodshed, two things would have happened. One, those demands would not have been met. In fact, what would have happened, the Jubilee government would have had all the grounds to be even more draconian. Maybe even declare a state of emergency, legally. Number two, there would have been massive suffering countrywide. Yeah, the country has already gone through so much suffering, and this suffering would have been extended. And so it was clear to His Excellency Raila Odinga that making a deal made more sense, because the objectives would be met and the country would be saved. Yeah, you'd kill two birds with one stone. If we are to believe these insiders of the Raila Odinga camp, that was Raila Odinga's thinking. That was what was going on his mind when he made that deal, followed by that very infamous handshake. However, and this is very interesting, politically, the question is beginning to emerge whether this agreement will hold. And the main reason, is the people. What are the people on the ground saying? What do the people on the ground feel? Now, what is emerging is that it was a very big anticlimax to the people. Because what the vast majority of Kenyans wanted, they wanted the Jubilee government out, nothing less. Emotionally, that was the main want. All the other demands, all the other list of things were just details. Now, the danger for Jubilee here is that after the expose on the Cambridge Analytica and the work they did in Kenya, that pressure on Uhuru is bound to increase. And it will be coming from the people. Is that pressure strong enough to sweep Raila Odinga aside and his credentials and his massive support? The truth is I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. All we can do is wait and see. But it's very interesting how the politics in Kenya is turning out. It's extremely unpredictable these days. Things are not clear-cut and simple as they used to be. But let us wait and see what unfolds. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.